Hello everyone, this is Sridhar Chintala, Assistant Professor of Physics, ABV Government Degree College, Janagaon. So, in the present video lecture, I am going to discuss about central forces. And these central forces comes under the BSc Physics first year, first semester, and in the unit 3, central forces. So in this present video lecture, I am going to introduce what is called a central force, a basic definition of central force, examples of central force, and what are the characteristics of central force. So before going to discuss about the central force, we should have an idea about what is called a force. In general, how do we define a force? So when you apply some force on a body, for example, let us say on a table, if you push with our hand, it may move or may not move. So that means the position of the body may change or may not change. So a force is a push or pull acting on object that changes the motion of the object, that changes the state of motion of the object. The state of motion may be rest or it may be in motion. So the force is a push or pull acting on an object which changes the state of motion of the object. So in the figure, we observe that this guy is pushing the door or something, and this guy is pulling. So pushing and pulling is nothing but force. Pushing and pulling on an object. So this is nothing but force. So in that way, we can define the force as a push or pull. And this must change the state of motion of the object. So sometimes it is not possible to change the position of the object or motion of the object, even though there is a force acting on it. So in that manner, we have to define the force as just a push or pull. It may not change or may change the position or state of motion of the object. So that is the basic definition of force. And as far as the Newton's first law is concerned, the Newton's first law of motion explains about force. And Newton's second law of motion gives the calculation of force. So according to Newton's second law, we can define that the applied force on the object is directly proportional to the rate of change of linear momentum of the object, and its direction is along its motion. So according to Newton's second law of motion, the applied force on a body is directly proportional to the rate of change of linear momentum of the body, and its direction is along its motion. So that is F is directly proportional to dP by dt. That is F is equals to ma. So when you apply P is equals to mv, and where the mass m is the mass of the object and the a is the acceleration. So m into dv by dt is nothing but m into a, that is mass. M is equals to mass and a is acceleration. So that is F is equals to ma. And this is given by the Newton's second law. The concept of force is explained by Newton's first law, where Newton's first law is stating that unless and until a force acts on a body, the state of motion of a body continues to be unchanged. The state of rest or the state of motion, if the particle is at rest, it will be at rest only. And if the particle is in motion with constant velocity, it will be continuous its constant velocity motion. So that is the concept of force explained by Newton's first law, and the magnitude or the value of the force is given by the Newton's second law, that is given by F is equals to ma. So units of force in SI system, it is newtons, and named after Isaac Newton, and defined as the force that gives a mass of 1 kg and acceleration of 1 meter square. So if a force inculcate, or if a force gives a mass of 1 kg and acceleration 1 meter per second square, that force is defined as 1 Newton. That is in SI system. And if you want to define the what is called unit in CGS, that is dyne, and it is defined as the force that gives a mass of 1 gram and acceleration of 1 centimeter per second square. So we can relate that CGS system units and SI system units, and 1 Newton is given by 10 to the power of 5 dynes. And next, the general forces what we observe in nature are, in the macroscopic world, besides the gravitational force, we encounter several kinds of forces. Muscle forces, the contact forces. So what we can hold the cell phone, this is a contact force, a muscular force, and a friction, which is also a contact force parallel to the surface in contact, and the force is exerted by compressed or elongated springs. That means the spring force and the rope force, that is the tension, and the force of buoyancy and the viscous force when solids are in contact with the fluids, and the force due to pressure of a fluid, and the force due to surface tension of a liquid, and so on and so forth. There are many, several forces what we can observe in nature. So those are the general forces. There are the different kinds of forces, and these different kinds of forces are classified into two types of forces. There are two types of forces in nature what we can observe are, one type, the type 1 is the contact forces, and the type 2 is the non-contact forces. So what do you mean by contact forces? The force exists between the two bodies which are in contact, is nothing but the contact forces. So the contact force, the forces that act through direct contact between two objects, applied forces, friction. And the second one is non-contact forces, no direct contact force acting at a distance. So there is no direct contact between the two particles or two objects, but there exists a force between the two particles or two objects. And these are called the non-contact forces. So there is no need that the particles to be in contact. So the forces are acting at a distance, and they include, the non-contact forces includes the gravitational force, the magnetic force, and the electric force, and the nuclear force. So these are the forces which are acting between two particles or two objects which are separated by some distance and which are governed by some laws. So these are the forces involving charged and magnetic bodies. In the microscopic domain, again, we have electric and magnetic forces, nuclear forces involving protons and neutrons, interatomic forces and intermolecular forces, etc. So these are the examples of electric and magnetic forces, or the what is called the charged magnetic bodies. So a great insight of the 20th century physics is that these different forces occurring in different contexts actually arise from only a small number of fundamental forces in nature. So though there are very large number of forces present in nature, all of the forces are originated from four fundamental forces. The four fundamental forces in nature are, so the origin of these derived forces is, however, very complex at the present stage of our understanding. We know of four fundamental forces in nature. They are the gravitational force, the weak nuclear force, and the electromagnetic force and the strong nuclear force. Of course, the weak nuclear force and the electromagnetic force and the strong nuclear force all are originated from the electric or the magnetic force. So in the microscopic level and in the macroscopic level, so the forces are classified based on their interaction, based on their nature of the uh, force. So the four fundamental forces are: one is the gravitational force, and the second one is the weak electromagnetics or weak nuclear force, and the third one is electromagnetic force, and the fourth one is the strong nuclear force. So these are the four fundamental forces in nature, and we discuss these forces one by one. And after defining a central force. And what is called a central force? So the name itself suggesting that it should act towards a center. It should act towards a center, away from a center. That means the force which is always directed towards a fixed point or away from a fixed point is defined as a central force. That means this force should act towards a fixed point or away from a fixed point. So that means it has a center. So that is the reason it is defined as a central force. And the central force depends on the radius vector and it is directed towards or away from a fixed point. And the resultant motion can be explained in terms of polar coordinates rather than rectangular coordinates. So this is the diagram which explains the what is called the central force. So here there is a point P where the object is located and there is a force acting on this object which is shown in the blue line, and this force is acting on this point P and it is away from a fixed point O. So and the radius vector of this point is given by OP is equals to R. And in order to describe the motion of this particle, we should know what is called R and what is called theta, the angle made by this radius vector with the x-axis. And the polar coordinates are R comma theta, where R is the radius and the theta is the angular displacement. So radius vector and angular displacement. So this is called a central force. A central force, a force is a force which is always acts on a point which is directed towards a fixed point or away from a fixed point. It is called a central force. So let O be the center of the force which is taken as the origin of coordinate system, and P is a particle whose polar coordinates are r comma theta, and according to Cartesian coordinates the position vector is given by OP is equal to xi plus yj, and in terms of polar coordinates position vector is OP is equals to r, which is given by r cap, where r dash is the unit vector along OP direction. And in general, therefore, the central force in polar coordinates can be written as capital F bar is equals to F of R into R cap, where F of R is a function of distance small r of the particle from the fixed point, and R cap gives the direction of that force. And this F of R is a function, that means it changes with respect to this small r. That means that magnitude of this force depends on the position or the length or what is called the radius from a fixed point. So when a central force acts between two particles and the direction of the force is along the line joining the two particles. The central force is acting between two particles. The direction of force is along the line joining the two particles. The central force is acting on a point, so it is always directed towards or away from a fixed point. And if it is acting between 2 points, so that will be the direction of the central force will be along the line joining the two particles. The examples of central forces are the gravitational force, electrostatic force, and the elastic forces, that are the spring forces. So the gravitational force, generally we define the gravitational force as F is equals to Gm small m by r square into r cap, and the negative sign in the equation shows that this force is always an attractive force. It is regardless of the size or what is called the nature of the matter. So according to Newton's law of universal gravitation, the gravitational force between two objects of mass capital M and small m is proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the two masses. And we can express that in mathematically, capital F is equals to minus Gm, that is capital M into small m by r square into r cap, where G is the universal gravitational constant. And the negative sign indicates, as I said before, the force is an attractive force. So let Gmn is equals to C, then equation 1 becomes F is equals to minus C by r square, and taking F of r is equal to C by r square, so capital F is equal to F of r into r cap, and F of r is equal to, that is proportional to 1 by r square. That means the magnitude of the force depends on the distance. So hence gravitational force is a central force. The earth revolves around the sun under the influence of central force, which is always directed towards the sun. So this is an example of central forces, that is the gravitational force. And then the electrostatic force. So let two stationary charges Q1 and Q2 separated by a distance small r. According to the Coulomb's inverse square law, the electrostatic force between the two charges is given by F is equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 Q2 by r square into r cap. And taking again this Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught as a constant, we have capital F is equals to C by r square into r cap. And again F of r is equals to C by r square. So this is the force which is depending on the distance. So capital F is equal to F of r into r cap, and F of r is proportional to 1 by r square. Hence an electrostatic force is a central force. And this electrostatic force may be attractive or may be repulsive depending upon the sign of the charges which are taken into consideration. And the third one is the elastic force. The elastic force acting on a mass attached to a spring is proportional to the distance between the mass and the unstretched position of the spring. That is, F is directly proportional to X. And this F, if you remove the proportionality, you will get a constant, and that is given by minus K, and F is equals to minus K into X, and that X can be written as R into R cap. And let F of R is equals to minus KR, and capital F is equals to F of R into R cap, and F of R is directly proportional to R. So the elastic force is also depending on the position of the spring. So the elastic force is also a central force. So these are the examples for the central forces. One is the gravitational force of attraction, and the second one is the electromagnetic force or the electrostatic force, and the third one is elastic force. And then the characteristics of central force. So general form of central force is capital F bar is equal to F of R into R cap, where F of R is a function of distance of the particle from the fixed point, and R is a unit vector along the radius vector of the particle. Central force is a negative gradient of potential energy, and this we will discuss this in the next slide. So central force is a conservative force. So central force is a conservative force, and what do you mean by conservative force is the work done by the force is independent of the path taken by the particle. So that is the definition of a conservative force. So if the work done by the force is independent of the path followed, it is defined as the conservative force, and the central force is a conservative one. And under a central force, the torque acting on a particle is always equals to 0. So under a central force, the torque acting on a particle is always equals to 0. And under a central force, the angular momentum of the particle is constant. Since the torque acting is always equal to 0, the change in the angular momentum is equal to 0, since the tau is given by dl by dt, where L is the angular momentum. So the rate of change of angular momentum is nothing but torque. So as the torque acting on the particle is always 0, the angular momentum is a constant one. So under a central force, the areal velocity of the particle is constant. And if the magnitude of the central force is less than 0, that is the force is negative and the force is attractive. And if f of r is greater than 0, that is the force is positive, the force is repulsive. So these are the characteristics of central force, and we can express the central force as a negative gradient of potential energy, and that we will see in this slide. So the work done against the central force is equal to the increase in potential energy of the body, and if u of x comma y comma z is the potential energy of function, due to central force field, the change in potential energy is du, as du is a perfect differential that can be written as du is equals to dou u by dou x into dx plus dou u by dou y into dy plus dou u by dou z into dz, and du is equals to, we can separate this as a dot product between two vectors. So those two vectors are given by I dou u by dou x plus j dou u by dou y plus k dou u by dou z into I dx plus j dy plus k dz. So this can be written as a dot product of these two vectors, and this is we arrived, we obtained this from the definition of perfect differential or exact differential, and we wrote this in the form of this. So if F is a central force, the work done against the central force is equals to the change in potential energy. So that is F is equals to du. So du is equals to minus F into dr, and du is equals to, already we have this equation and we are equating this to this. So minus F into dr is equals to I cap dou u by dou x plus j into dou u by dou y plus k cap dou u by dou z into I dx plus j dy plus k dz. So we can write this as I dou by dou x plus j dou by dou y plus k dou by dou z as del. So dr is equals to I dx plus j dy plus k dz. So this can be written as f dot dr is equals to del u dot dr. Okay, I will explain this. So here we are having this one, delta is equals to, then this equation becomes minus f into dr is equals to, this is del u dot dr. So this dr cancel, and this f can be written as minus del u. So this del u is nothing but the gradient, and this negative sign gives the negative gradient. That means the central force is a negative gradient of potential energy. So in this way we can show that the central force can be written as the negative gradient of potential energy. So, and then the conservative nature of central force. So what do you mean by conservative force is the work done by a force if it is independent of the path followed, then it is called the conservative force. And we have to show that, and we want to show that the central force is conservative. So the conservative nature of central force can be explained as follows. So when the work done by the force is independent of the path taken by the particle, it depends only on the initial and final positions of the particle. Such forces are called as the conservative forces. So the work done by the central force F in moving a particle from A to B is given by W of AB is equal to integral A to B capital F bar into dr bar, where capital F bar can be written as F of R into R cap. So WAB is equal to integral A to B F of R cap into dr. So this is equation number 1. So you should keep in mind. And we know that R dot R is equal to R square. And when you differentiate this equation, you will get R into dr plus dr into R is equals to 2R into dr. And this can be written as 2R into dr, and this is 2R into dr. So we can cancel this 2, and we left with R bar dr bar is equals to R dr. So that means R cap dr is equals to R dr. Okay. So this vector can be written as R cap dr is equals to R dr. So this R is cancelled, and this is R cap dr is equals to dr. And substituting equation 2 in equation 1, we'll get WAB is equals to integral A to B F of R into dr. So the value of the integral depends on the nature of the function F of R and the limits of integration and A and B. So WBA is equals to integral B to A F of R dr, and it is equals to minus A to B F of R dr, and is equals to minus WA to B. So that means WBA is equals to minus WAB. So WBA plus WBAB is equals to 0. Hence the central force is a conservative force. And this is the assignment for you people. So after listening to this, after watching to this video lecture, you have to answer these questions. One is define central force and give examples. Show that the gravitational force, electrostatic force, and elastic forces are central forces. And the third one is what are central forces and write its characteristics. And fourth one, prove that central force is negative gradient of potential energy. And the fifth one is prove that central force is conservative. So this is assignment for you. And please go through the video lecture and answer the questions. Thank you for your patient listening. This is all about the basics of the central forces. Thank you, everyone.